In a statement that has rapidly intensified global attention and sparked urgent debate across diplomatic and security circles, former U.S. President Donald Trump took to his social media platform, Truth Social, with a message that blended warning, speculation, and geopolitical commentary, declaring that a whole civilization will die tonight, while simultaneously referencing the possibility of what he described as complete and total regime change in Iran. A statement that, within minutes, began reverberating through international media, policy institutions, and online discourse, not only because of its dramatic tone, but because of the implications it carries in the context of long-standing tensions between Washington and Tehran. The language used raises immediate questions about whether the remarks reflect insider knowledge, political rhetoric, or strategic signaling, particularly as global observers remain acutely sensitive to any escalation involving Iran, a nation with a deeply rooted history shaped by the Iranian Revolution and decades of strained relations with the United States, including sanctions, proxy conflicts, and nuclear negotiations. Trump's reference to 47 years of extortion, corruption, and death appears to directly allude to the period following that incolab, framing the current moment as a potential turning point, while his suggestion that different, smarter, and less radicalized minds could emerge introduces a narrative of transformation that supporters may interpret as optimism for political change, while critics may view it as speculative or even destabilizing rhetoric. The timing of the message is particularly significant, as geopolitical analysts note that statements of this magnitude, especially those hinting at imminent large-scale consequences, can influence markets, diplomatic postures, and even military readiness, regardless of whether they are backed by confirmed developments. Within Washington, reactions are expected to be mixed, with some policymakers emphasizing caution and the need for verified intelligence, while others may see the statement as part of a broader pattern of high-impact communication that has characterized Trump's political style, one that often blurs the line between direct messaging and strategic ambiguity. Internationally, the response is likely to be even more complex, as allies and adversaries alike attempt to interpret the intent and credibility behind the claim, particularly in regions where stability is already fragile and where any suggestion of regime change carries profound historical and humanitarian implications. It is also important to recognize that as of now, no official confirmation from the United States Department of State or other authoritative bodies has substantiated the specific scenario described in the post, underscoring the critical need to distinguish between verified developments and unconfirmed assertions in rapidly evolving situations. Nonetheless, the sheer scale of the language, invoking the potential loss of an entire civilization, has elevated the conversation beyond routine political commentary into the realm of global risk assessment, prompting discussions not only about Iran's internal dynamics, but also about the broader implications for international law, humanitarian concerns, and the balance of power in the Middle East. As the world watches closely for any concrete developments that might clarify or contradict the narrative presented, this moment highlights the powerful role that modern communication platforms play in shaping perception and urgency, where a single post can trigger worldwide attention within seconds, influencing both public sentiment and policy discourse. Ultimately, whether this statement proves to be a reflection of unfolding events, a projection of political perspective, or a catalyst for further speculation, it underscores a central reality of contemporary geopolitics, that information, especially when delivered with certainty and scale, can itself become a force that shapes outcomes, making the coming hours and official responses from governments and international organizations critical in determining whether this moment becomes a historical turning point or a cautionary example of how narratives can outpace verified facts.